What's up, my people? I'm Key, and this is a 10 art style challenge video. And art styles that I picked were either art styles that influenced me or art styles that I really like. So yeah, let's begin. As you saw in the video title, this is not a usual 10 art style challenge. I'm a little crazy, so instead of drawing like a head of a character or a full body, I decided to draw two characters and a background. And I decided to repeat that 10 times. Wow. Don't know why, but I can't say a lot about my art style. But I can say that I draw a lot with watercolor. And I also love Hachi. Like, I just love and adore. Like, Hachi. And the art style that influenced me the most was Hirohiko Araki's art style. I think you can say that about my art style. I think that's where I got the love for Hachi, because, like, did you see Hirohiko Araki's art style? Like, it's beautiful. And a little bit about the characters that I'm drawing. The one on the left, 27-year-old man, his name is Ishikawa. And the one on the right, that's Hibachi. And just to be clear, he doesn't have a hand, and in a minute you'll see what I'm talking about. And now, a little bit of background. Ishikawa was a bodyguard of one of Shogun's, but then he killed him because the Shogun started using the power he had. After he killed the Shogun, he just took the best weapons they had and he just left. And Hibachi is Marauder, so when they met, when he saw the weapons Ishikawa had, he was like, yeah, I need those no matter what. That's how expensive they were. Then they started to fight, and while they were fighting, word by word, it turned out they actually had pretty similar goals, so they were like, yeah, maybe we should talk. And then, in the course of events, they became the villains of the story. But there's gonna be a third antagonist, but not about that. And in this drawing, I just drew how they like yap after the fight. You know, like Naruto therapy. And there it is, there's the results. It's the art style 0. Now let's get to the first art style. And the first art style that I picked is Oda's. Ichiro Oda's art style. Or the art style like in the One Piece manga. And I can't really say that this art style was like my #1 influence. This is my idol. But I think it did influence me to some degree. And it's probably not so much the art style, but like the One Piece story, characters, and like world building and stuff. And a cool art style, it was, you know, like a cherry on top. And for some reason, I thought that Oda also used watercolor like me, but turned out he used markers. But I still decided to use watercolor because I didn't have the right markers. Oda also used, like, you know, a little muted colors. And now remember how I was told. Don't use black color. Black is bad. Don't use it. But now, thankfully to this art style, I opened black watercolor to me. And since I used pretty muted colors, I would not be able to achieve that muted look without black. So when somebody tells you, don't use black color is bad, yeah, don't listen to them. You can totally use black, you just need to know how to use it. You also think that everybody knows that markers can bleed? So, for instance, sometimes when I was done with a layer of watercolor, I would go over it with water just to make it a little blurry to get that effect like markers got. Also, with markers, you can't get a lot of colors like with watercolor because you can't mix them. Like, you can layer them, but not mix. Only layer. So, to show it, I decided to use the same skin tone for both characters. Though, yeah, Hibachi is a little tanned, but since there's not as much color variation as markers, I decided to use the same skin tone. And out of all 10 art styles, I'd say this is my least favorite one. Like, I don't know, something's not right. I mean, it's okay, but But I can see that I like the color palette. And here's the results of the first art style. I think it's pretty cool, but there's gonna be art styles so much better than that. And second art style is Asinastro's art style. Honestly, originally I wanted to do Emma's art style, but her art style was pretty hard for me because I haven't drawn digitally for a while. So as a warm-up, I decided to start with her art style because it's relatively simple. And I think this was one of those artists that helped build the Slavic art community. And this was the first artist that I found on YouTube. I remember how I was rewatching her videos again and again, and I wanted to be like her. I also remember how at some point I was trying to copy her art style. Here's an example. She also doesn't draw backgrounds, so I had to work with what I had. I also enjoyed drawing in this art style a lot. I also finished this drawing in a day, and it kinda surprised me. I also forgot to mention that I'm going in the same orders that I did the drawings in. So, the first art style that I did was Ichiro Oda's art style, then Sinatra, and then other art style. And I also liked doing colored line art. It was kinda cool. And those big oval lines that go out of your head, yeah, it was really fun and cool, and I liked it. And here's the results. I think it really does look like a Sinastra's art style. Like, if you told me that she drew it, I think I would really believe it. And third art style is DK's art style. And even before I started drawing in this art style, I already had problems with it. DK draws chibi characters pretty often, but she also draws men in shape. And that's why I decided to make Ishikawa normal and Hibachi into a chibi. And I do not regret this at all. I think this was the best decision I made. Like, I'm thrilled with this contrast. Like, a big buff man and a little guy. And also, I was drawing in Sinastra's art style, and her art style is all rounded, bubbly, smooth, and yet no sharp angles. And then got BAM! DK's art style, and it's all angular and sharp. And DK's render kind of remind me of Emma Artley's render because of use of the blue reflections. Colors are pretty bright and saturated. And I'm not surprised that she doesn't draw a lot of backgrounds, so I had to dig up her old Telegram channel in attempts to find any bushes and plants. And actually I liked drawing in this art style, but it took me a while. Get the right overlay layer, colors, and to blend them right, because sometimes colors blend pretty smoothly and sometimes kind of sharp. But drawing the background was pretty easy, because one of the next art styles, yeah, it was a torture. And I'm also delighted by how the grass turned out. It looks incredible. Here's the results. I like the background and actually the whole piece. Anyway, let's get to the next art style. And yes, next art style is Emma Artley's art style. And at first, it didn't go as well as I wanted it to, but then it was okay. But honestly, I had some troubles with faces. I don't know, I couldn't. Also, this art style has this thing where it's like I call it tattoo clothes. Let me explain. Clothes got volume. Doesn't matter how thin it is, it would still poke out a little. But sometimes people draw clothes like they're tattooed, or the clothes got glued to the skin and now it's one whole. And it can be traced in Emma's art style. And it does piss me off a little, but I still decided to draw some tattooed clothes, just to replicate her art style perfectly 100%. Didn't have as much trouble with background because she has a full video dedicated to backgrounds. And I gotta be honest, this helped me a lot. But her designs are a little more detailed than mine, so I decided to draw a little more details to my characters. And I like the results, but I think I could have done a better job at lighting. And even though she had a full video dedicated to drawing backgrounds, I still felt like her backgrounds weren't as detailed as mine. Also, I draw quite a lot of different plants and bushes, but she didn't have as much variation. That's why I used one type of plants to draw the entire drawing. And here's the results. I actually kinda like it. And forgot to mention, she's actually my favorite art YouTuber right now. Hey, never mind. Next art style is Mee's art style. One of the most known artists in the Slavic art community right now. And the biggest problem was that she doesn't draw manly mans, that's what she likes to say. That's why they turn out to be more feminine. And the process took forever. I thought I'd go crazy. And the thing that was driving me nuts was the fact that I did the same thing over and over again. I did the same thing 10,000 times. Then I look and it's it doesn't look too good. So then I do the same thing again and again and again and again. And it's nothing changed. And it was horrible. And like I said, the thing that took me the longest was the background. Drawing characters didn't took me nearly as much time. What I do like about this drawing is their faces. Yeah, they don't look nearly as manly, but they still look like themselves. I also don't like how the bushes and the leaves turned out because they look flat and boring. But I can't say that I like the render on the characters. But now that I'm looking at it a little bit later, I'm going crazy. I did the shading in the wrong spot. Like, I like the colors and the flow and stuff, but dang, I did the shading the wrong way, and it drives me crazy. Like, I put it in the wrong spot. But in my defense, I can say that, like I said, this was driving me crazy. So I was like, oh my gosh, I finally finished the background. I'm gonna finish it as fast as I can and do the next art style. And that's exactly why I finished it as fast as I can and got to the next art style. So yeah, this is the results. This is what I got. I think a little muddy and flat, but it's fine, honestly. But what's this? It's sixth art style, and this is Scott Christian Sava. And he's mostly known for his YouTube shorts. And I really like his videos because he's like honest, like 100%. Like, he talks about how it's like being an artist pretty often, and what a lot of artists have to go through. Art blocks, hatred towards your own work, and thinking that you're not worth it. And I like how openly he talks about it. And drawing in his art style was a pleasure. Especially after Mayo's art style, this was like a breath of fresh air. And don't get me wrong, it was just hard for me to draw in her art style, plus after drawing in digital for a bit, going back to traditional was pretty cool. Also, knowing his approach to art, I tried not to think about the results and just enjoy the process. I also used some random inks that I got with my dip pen. So, like, these inks, yeah, they're not waterproof. And I also learned how to use them to make sure, like, they don't bleed. But even then, sometimes it happens that they just start bleeding. But I also think they used a little bit too much inks on Ishikawa's face, so he got a black blob on his face. His eyebrows bled a little, yeah. But it's totally fine, I can live with that. I also felt like he used warmer tones, warmer colors, so no surprise there, I used warm colors. And I also, for some reason, thought that if he did something like that, instead of making the background forest darker, he would make it lighter. And again, little to no variation in the bushes, but, you know, it is what it is. And here's the results. I like the colors, the compositions, the leaves, everything. Shocking, but I finished coloring this in a day. And next art style is Hirohiko Araki's art style. And I was super scared to draw on his art style because his art style was the art style that influenced me the most. But when I did start to draw on his art style, it wasn't that bad. I love the colors that I picked. And just like with him Artly, I decided to add a little more details because Hirohiko Araki is also known for his insane taste of fashion. And I thought that my characters would look a little too boring, too simple in his art style without details, so yeah, I did add more details to their designs. I also didn't know what color to use for details. I thought either pink or orange or just leave them white. And I decided to leave it white because first it looks normal white, and that was the safest option. And second, at any moment, if I do decide to paint these details orange or pink, I can do that, but if I did paint them orange or pink, I would not be able to bring them back to white. And I adore the bushes in the front, like they look incredibly good, I love them. And I also can say that I was so glad that Hirohiko Araki also uses watercolor, it made my life so much easier. And now I'm doing the voiceover, I just realized all the art style I was scared to do, I left them for the end. So all the next art styles that I'm gonna do, I was scared to do them for some reason. And here's the results. Do I think I got Araki's art style 100% one-to-one? Nope. Do I like it? Yeah. And next art style is Takehiko Inoue's, or author of Vagabond and Slam Dunk. So, why was I scared to do this art style? Because there's no line art. I tried to do a drawing without line art only once, and it did not turn out really good, and then I just wasn't interested in no line art. But then you got this opportunity, so why not try again? And the hardest part was to start. Then you kind of get in the rhythm and you kind of get it. And you see what you're doing, so you know or at least have an idea of how to fix it. Background turned out cool, I like it. Characters? I don't like how Ishikawa's face turned out, everything else is pretty cool. Maybe the reason why it didn't turn out so good is because I was drawing away pretty far. So when their faces are pretty small, it's kind of hard to get into all the details. But honestly, for the first time, it's okay. I'm kind of proud of myself, but something tells me that it does not look like Takehiko Inoue's art style. But I don't think it really matters. I can live with that. What else can I say? I admire this art style because the details, the coloring, the anatomy, it's incredible. I can't imagine how much time he spent to get the skill level. I can't comprehend that. And here's the results. I kinda like it. For the first drawing without line art, it's pretty good. And sadly, this is the last traditional piece in this video. And pre-last art style is jjbug. I found her on TikTok when she drew for a Roblox character in her art style, and since then, I fell in love with her art style. Especially I love when she draws the black upper lip, like, oh my, it's so cool and so unique. I love it. I also remember when she drew Kick the Buddy in her art style because after she released that video, my For You page was filled with videos like that. But there was also this problem. I didn't know what to do with the background. Make the background super minimalistic or just take an already existing picture and just edit it and use it. I decided to draw the background and just put textures over the whatever I did. And this is my favorite drawing out of this video. Like if somebody said that jjbug drew this, I would believe it. And I was scared to draw in this art style because I had no idea how she rendered. But thankfully, she made a rendering tutorial video thing. So thankfully, it wasn't that bad. And in this piece, I like absolutely everything. Shading, faces of the characters, poses, background colors. This is fire. Here's the results. Like I said, I like everything about this piece. Like, wow. And last art style is Bree Draw's art style. And I was scared of this art style probably even before I started drawing in Mayo's art style. Let me explain. Art styles that I did previously somewhat similar to my art style, like anatomy, proportions, but this art style is nothing like my art style. When I realized that, I was terrified. But shockingly, I stopped being scared of this art style as soon as I started drawing in it. And I had no idea what to do with the background again. Again, I couldn't find nothing remotely similar, so I had to come up with stuff and Frankenstein whatever I had. And when I was almost done with the background, she posted a background tutorial. But I was too lazy to change anything, so I was like, ah yeah, whatever, that'll do. Also, when I tried to draw Ishikawa, he didn't look like a guy, he looked more like a girl if anything. And when I realized how horrible it is, I had to film my reaction. Here it is, by the way. Drawing in another artist's art style. And this style is all cartoony, yeah, and first guy is like normal, yeah. Still looks like a guy. Oh, whoa. So, yeah, I had to put in quite some effort to make him look like a guy. And I think I succeed. Also, I just realized that all the digital art styles that I picked belong to girls around age 20, and traditional ones to men over 40, maybe 50. It's just an observation, you know? And here is the last drawing. Oh my god, I'm so glad it's over. I'm free. And that's pretty much it. Here's all the 10 art styles. And I hope that you liked this video. This was the longest video I've ever done in my life. And it took me 3 months, whole summer. And that's just the drawings, I'm not talking about editing. And if you like this video, please let me know, leave a comment. It would help me a lot. If you want a part 2, also let me know, but the ready's gonna take me another 3 months. So if you got no patience, I wouldn't recommend that. But as an option, I also can do it while I'm doing another video of some kind. Probably, yeah. This video is coming to an end, I hope you liked it. But yeah, that's it for today. Thanks for spending your time with me, and I hope to see you again next time. Sincerely, Ki.